Welcome back to Financial Clarity for Doctors, everyone. This is Rachelle Vanderzanden here with Corey Janoff.
Hello.
Hello. We spend a lot of time talking about the things that we should and can do with our money to achieve our goals, all of that kind of stuff. Like, this is what you should do. This is what you should do, which is great because we all want to be financially responsible. That's why you tune in. That's why we listen. But we decided today we wanted to spend a little bit of time thinking about why we do all of these things. So, fantasizing about where you want life to be when you retire, like all the things that you're trying to accomplish, what that could look like. One of the questions that we sometimes ask clients is, what does the fairy tale look like for you? If you could describe your perfect life and all the things that you want to achieve, what would that look like? And it is different for everyone. Some people really enjoy want to work and they want to work for a very long period of time. Other people have hobbies that they really wish they could spend more time on now and later. Other people have a particular place they want to be. Like maybe we want to buy a vacation house. And it really looks different for every person. And I think when we focus so much on saving and we don't spend a little time thinking about like what that will be like in the future or even now if we can incorporate some of those things now, then it's harder to save. But if we spend a little time thinking about what the reward is, that can be a very, very helpful tool for just helping to align like what our values are and making sure our money's going in the right places to achieve those goals, but also just giving us that end goal in mind so we're more happy to do it when we know why we're doing it and we spend some time thinking about why we're doing it. So we're going to just do that today because it's fun.
It is. Like we're recording this right after Labor Day when the Powerball, no one, I did not win on the Monday Labor Day drawing.
But
So
you bought a ticket?
I bought 5 tickets for the
Ooh,
1.1 billion and I think it's up to 1.3 billion now. Who knows? By the time you hear this, someone might have won. If you don't hear from Rochelle or I, it means it was probably one of us. But yeah, I buy the
that's the
Powerball.
reason,
Yeah.
obviously.
I buy the Powerball like, I don't know, 3 times a year when it gets to that $1 billion mark because, 400 million is not worth it, but a billion, there we go. That's something I could, but no, I think I was talking to my cousin about this. Um, I mean, assuming you're not a gambling addict and blowing all of your money on Powerball and lottery tickets, which most of you probably are not. Um, like I think spending $2 or $10 on lottery tickets a few times a year, just the mental joy you get from thinking about, oh, what would I do if I won? Like all the things that you could do with the money or all the people that you could help, etc. Um, I think is
I think
probably
I just
worth
live
the money
at an
spent.
all-inclusive resort full time.
It'd be nice. So yeah. So like, I mean, just kind of fantasizing about that. Now, there's like the out of this world fantasizing lottery $1 billion winnings. But what we're talking about today is more of like the realistic fantasizing. Like, what do you want?
Achievable.
Yeah, like realistically, what do you want life to look like? Sure, it'd be cool to have a, you know, 500-foot yacht and sail the world and have butlers and have an all-inclusive resort that you live in and everything's just you can get whatever you want whenever you want, room service 24/7. But I mean, let's be real. You know, that might get old. So
Hmm. It's
having
true.
having the all-inclusive resort like that you could go to whenever, spend a couple weeks. There we go.
Hmm.
But yeah, so what's the fairy tale? Like that's kind of how one of our mentors phrased it. Tell me what you want your life to look like. I mean, in retirement, sure, but like now as well. If you
Hmm.
have aspirations of engaging in some hobby in retirement, well, if you haven't started that hobby now, you're, there's a low probability you're going to actually pursue it seriously in retirement. Maybe, but start incorporating some of those things into your life now. See if it's something you actually enjoy, so that you can pursue it further when you're retired. And yeah, start aligning those goals and or start aligning your money with your values and hobbies today as much as possible so that it's a more seamless transition when you eventually quit your day job and you just do the stuff you want to pursue full time.
Hmm. Yep. I think there's lots of that I do now where it's like these are the things that I enjoy spending time doing. And over time, hopefully, as my career progresses and as other people's careers progresses, maybe if you have kids, as your kids get a little bit more independent and they don't require quite as much of your time, you can start incorporating more of those things already. So for me, it's like oh God, I'm so boring, but it's like gardening, and like cooking really time-consuming meals. Like my favorite thing probably is to like Sunday afternoons, which is pretty much the only time I do it, where I just like pick something that's going to take me 3 hours to make and I, cook for 3 hours and enjoy it and enjoy the smells and drink wine at the same time. Like that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy spending my time doing. And I wish I had more time to do it. And if I were working less or if I were retired, I could do that 4 days a week. I probably wouldn't want to do it every day, but I could do it a lot more than I do already. I think I read way too much already and probably will do that more so when I have more time on my hands. But then there's also just little things like going, like Corey talks about exercising. For me, it's like, sure, maybe kind of exercising, but more like yoga with old people. Like I love that. That's my speed. But it's also fun just to be there and hear some of these older folks at the local rec center talk about their lives and just listen in and live vicariously through them and get ideas that are a little bit more exciting than my own because obviously my own lacks some imagination sometimes.
Yeah, all those things. Yes, I like making food, lots of food.
Hmm.
My family doesn't always like the food I make, but whatever. I'm making it for me because I can't make boxed mac and cheese 7 nights a week. Um,
Oof. Or
yeah,
eat it 7 nights a week. No,
yeah,
thank you.
no. So, although we are, I'm taking the kids camping this weekend with my dad and brother, and we're going to a lake. Well, Timothy Lake, you probably didn't
Yeah.
heard of it.
Yeah.
So apparently there's crawdads there, and my brother's planning to catch crawdads, and we're going to make some crawdad mac and cheese. So,
Ooh.
yeah. Um, but anyways, yeah, like getting outdoors, doing the things I enjoy, food with everything sounds awesome. Wine, yes, sounds good too. Um, but yeah, plenty of hobbies I want to pursue, or I guess want to pursue more than I already do. Um, want to get better at golf. You need to like practice to get better at things. If you're only doing it once a week or a couple times a month, you're not going to get better. So it'd be cool to do that. Get more exercise regularly. It's I suppose I could make time now more consistently, but it's tough with kids and a job in the way and like I gotta like pick up stuff around the house and walk the dog. And sure, walking the
Hmm.
dog I guess counts as exercise, but I don't know.
It's
That's
better than not walking the
it's
dog.
better than not walking, but walking, like for someone who grew up and played sports through college, like walking, I don't consider exercise, maybe speed walking, but or walking a long distance up a hill. So hiking, there we go. But
There's a word for that.
yeah, pickleball sounds fun. I've played that a handful of times, pretty easy to pick up, and I think that could be enjoyable as I get older and can't move as much, which is probably why pickleball is popular because it's like tennis for older people who can't move as much.
Hmm.
Although we've got one of our coworkers, he's younger than us. He's really into pickleball. He's like got sponsorships and stuff. So, go after it. Go after those hobbies now. Find time. I think music would be cool. Like I've got a ukulele that I can play a couple notes on, but I think actually learning how to play it, that'd be a relatively easy instrument. Then maybe upgrade to a guitar at some point or piano. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think
But
I don't want to learn an instrument, but I would love to be able to spend more time like going to concerts and going to the ballet and going to like live shows, all of that kind of stuff. Like it's just gosh, between like work and soccer and whatever else we have going on, it's practically impossible. Like we're going to a concert next week and we're missing soccer practice and my husband is like, "Oh no." I'm like, "It's okay. We can miss one. It's fine."
right. That's what so with our kids, we've got them signed up for soccer and flag football this fall. And
Hmm.
the the team that Brooks is on, we're going to a different school this year, but the team we're on is still like kids from the school we were at last year. But the school we're at this year gets out later than last year's school, and practice starts right when school gets out for the earlier release school. So I talked to the
Yeah.
coach. I'm like, hey, can we just like go Allen Iverson with our kid and not show up to practice and he can just play games? And they're like, yeah, it's first grade soccer. We're just kicking around having fun. Talk about practice. Who needs practice?
Yeah, who needs
So,
it? I mean, Nick apparently really thinks that our fourth grader needs practice and that they should be like on it. But
well, they all need practice if they want to get better. But let's
yeah,
be real, our kids probably aren't going pro in
no,
sports.
no. Yeah, we just want them to win a few games. Oh man. Apparently, Corey and I just wanted to talk about how we want to be empty nesters.
Yeah, get rid of our kids so we can have more time to cook and do hobbies and go to shows. And
Yep, that's what
they
it comes
say
down
we'll
to.
miss them when they get out of the house.
I will miss her for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I'll
I'll,
miss my kid. But
I'll miss the kid, just not all the
okay.
things that come along with caring for the kid. Maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I'll miss the midnight wake ups and the tantrums and throwing the remote control across the room because I tell them it's time to turn off the TV.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
I'll miss
man, I
that.
slept way too well last night. That was crappy.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. I think I was talking about how one of my favorite things is to listen to other people and be creepy when they're talking about their retired life. And that seriously, it's so great. So at the local rec center where I do yoga with people who have an average age of 75, it's amazing. Like there's this core group and they're there all the time. For one, they do all the classes. They do the yoga, they do the strength training, they work out in the gym. But then they also talk about all the other fun things they're doing. And sometimes it's, we have this book club or whatever. But other times they've been gone for a few weeks and everyone's like, "Oh, where were you? How did you?" Or more likely like, "How did you enjoy France?" Because everyone knows what everyone else is doing already. So, they take off for 6 weeks and go to France, or they, spend 4 weeks at their mountain cabin or whatever it is. But I think the idea of those really longer term vacations appeals to me because I find traveling kind of stressful. And I think part of it is that I want to cram all the things into the amount of time that I have because it feels limited when you're going for like a week or 2 weeks. It just feels like you got to do all the things to get the most out of your experience. But if you're going for like 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks to wherever it is, you can really spend so much time doing the things, but also relaxing and just enjoying the place where you are. And that sounds so magical to me. And I would love to be able to do that. So that's one of my big, like, when I'm retired, maybe I can do this kind of things.
I think it's that do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. Is whom the
Yeah,
right word or is it who? Who or
I
who?
don't know.
I think it's whom.
I'm
I was not an English major.
with whom.
Um,
I think so. I think you're
whom.
right.
So what you want, when
Hmm.
you want, with whom you want. I think that's the definition of being independent. Like you call the
Hmm.
shots, you control your schedule. Now, I guess you got to coordinate with the other people to get the whom involved.
Uh-huh.
Like can't be like, hey, it's Tuesday, let's go hiking, and they're like, well, I can't, I got other obligations. But
Sometimes it might be yes, but yeah, other
yeah,
times not
so
so much.
at least you can control the what and the when. And then yeah, like just having that autonomy, being in control. But I think reiterating that, you know, if we're talking about retirement, having something to retire to rather than retiring away from your day job. Because if you have no hobbies
Hmm.
and you have no friends, retirement's gonna suck. Like, like really bad. You're gonna have just copious amounts of time that you don't know what to do with. So if, making those investing in those relationships now, investing in those hobbies now to see if you even like them before planning to pursue them more aggressively. But I also think there's some benefits to working. I mean, sure, if you absolutely hate your job, no, but there might be some other job, or whether it's even volunteering or a totally different career that you might want to pursue. Because I'm sure there's studies out there that we could dig up and find and reference, to keep your mind sharp. But just, look at some examples. Like Warren Buffett just turned 95. And I know he's stepping back a little bit from his day-to-day involvement with Berkshire Hathaway, but he's still involved and he's still sharp as a tack. His partner, Charlie Munger, passed away, what, a year or two ago at almost 100. He was 99 and like 11 months. Um, Mel Brooks, one of our favorite comedians and movie makers of all time. He's 99 and still going strong. He hasn't made a feature film in a while, but like he's still involved in some projects and and whatnot. And my kids are in a Spaceballs phase right now, watching. I was like, hey, you guys like because Camden was really into Star Wars. I'm like, oh, you should check out Spaceballs. And I bought it for like $10 on Apple or something.
And
And then,
Spaceballs is better after you've seen Star Wars because then you
oh yeah.
understand all the jokes.
Although there's a few jokes that are
But they hopefully don't
that he
understand.
hopefully doesn't understand, and a couple bad words in there, even though it's PG. And of course, he has to repeat all the bad words in those scenes. So I was saying,
Yeah.
oh, we should go check out Young Frankenstein and Dracula Dead and Loving It. I should probably preview those first before, in case there's a
We've let
few.
Colette watch a few of them. You should preview them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or they have like the little synopsis online. You can look and be like, what in here is inappropriate?
yeah.
Like, and then you know and yeah, anyway.
Because when
So
I was
yeah.
like third, fourth grade, Dracula Dead and Loving It was one of my favorite movies with
Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen. And then my parents, for better or worse, let us watch The Blues Brothers, and we loved that one. A lot of
Hmm.
F-bombs in there, but that's about it.
Yeah,
We
language.
dressed up as the Blues Brothers for Halloween one year, and that was probably one of the best costumes. All the adults handing out candy were like, "Oh, can I get a picture? This is great."
That's so funny. Yeah.
um, where are we going here?
You were talking about how Mel Brooks is still working and
Oh
loving
yeah.
it, and that's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, I think yeah, if I can keep doing this at 99, health willing, like if my mentals are still there, then yeah, why not? It's not like I'm digging ditches. It's I get to talk to people for a living more or less. So, and help them
Yeah.
with their money. It's enjoyable for me. Now if I get to a point where my kids are like, "Hey dad, you left an open thing of Caesar dressing in the pantry and a block of cheese in your underwear drawer. We need to like move you into a home now." Then yeah, I might need to call it quits on the job. But hopefully that's not for a long time.
Yeah. I definitely fall on probably a different end of the spectrum with that, where I I get stressed about stupid little things with work, even if my job isn't very stressful at the time, and I just find ways to feel anxious about it. So someday it'll be nice to just check out completely and be like, I don't have an email to check. I don't have to do that. But I do love the idea of just taking classes on random crap that I want to learn about, like again, older folks at the community college taking classes on the history of India or whatever it is that you want to learn about and keeping your faculties going that way. And I'm sure, by the time we're that age, obviously there's online courses and things like that now, but I imagine that that'll be like so much cooler and more interactive and like there'll be so many ways that you can learn things. And I think that that will be something that'll be fun to have time to explore a little bit more too.
Yeah, you'll be like taking class in 4D at the Sphere in Las Vegas. We'll just have those in every
Yeah.
city and it'll be an
I
immersive experience.
I think that us trying to imagine what the future will look like is probably funny. Like, like
Right?
it's not gonna be real accurate.
Probably not. No.
Yeah. Yep. I
But
do
yeah, like
also like the idea of just having like the vacation spot. Like, I don't know, like a house at the beach. We live in Oregon. I love the Oregon coast. Although, if there's a giant earthquake, half of it's going to be gone. So that's always a concern, but we don't have to think about that in our fairy tale. Um, but yeah, like a
we'll
a beach house
earthquake
would be
proof the
amazing.
coast.
Somehow, some way. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of beach houses, I think like that we've referenced it before, but that book by Bill Perkins, Die with Zero, is a
Yeah.
good one. There's a story he tells in that book where he rents an entire villa on some island in the Bahamas or something. I forget
Hmm.
where exactly, but he basically invites all of his friends and family to come celebrate his 50th birthday, and he paid for everything, flights, the lodging, etc. That being said, it's easier to do when you're an oil billionaire, or I guess oil trader, I should say, but a billionaire nonetheless.
Yeah.
So maybe I would just like rent a house to invite my family to come hang out for a week rather than an entire island.
And not have
Um,
to pay for anybody's flights. So
yeah. So, um, but things like that. Like my neighbors, they just got back from a vacation. They were in Georgia, kind of in the Appalachians, where they rented a house for, I don't know if you want to call it a family reunion, but the husband side of the family mostly lives in Florida and Georgia, and they all just convened at that house and hung out and
Hmm.
probably drank too much wine and beer and sweet tea and whatever else you drink in Georgia.
You
Um,
can tell we're millennials. We've already talked about this, but yeah, drinking.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many fun things that this could look like. I remember where I was writing one note to myself, and this is something I hadn't really ever thought about. But again, just talking to clients and seeing things that they're able to do or other older folks, and just the people who are able to spend like good chunks of time with their kids when they have a kid. Like my mom is just going to come stay with me for 2 months or whatever. Like that feels like it could make such a big impact on that person that's having the child or those people that are having the child and also be really enjoyable as a grandparent, but that also just makes me cringe and I can't imagine being a grandma and it sounds very scary. But but it feels like that would be nice to be able to do that if I stop to think about it. That feels less like a fantasy and more like a nightmare, but that's okay.
Hopefully not for another 20 years or so.
I know. Exactly.
There we go. Yeah, I think just finding ways to stay mentally and physically active. Um,
Hmm.
so I remember in college, speaking of working into old age, there was a class I took, and my professor somehow knew Sydney Harmon, who's the founder of Harman Kardon Speakers, and Sydney Harmon came and spoke to our class one day, and he just strolled right in, stood up at the front of the class, talked and answered questions for an hour. He was 90 at the time. He looked 60.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, a couple of years later, he passed away from, I think, leukemia. But but yeah, I think trying to just keep the mind and body working, do the yoga, and maybe spend 6 weeks in France, but also crossword puzzles,
Uh-huh.
whatever,
Online
uh,
classes, whatever
online
it is.
classes, or
Yeah.
just this job still. Like I gotta think and like
Yep.
do some math, um, and put stuff into software. I think we could get rid of the email part of it, Rochelle, if we just have some underlings supporting us and they can answer the
Mhm.
emails and we just they occasionally call us if they have questions. We show up for the meetings. So the meetings are the
Mhm.
easy part. It's all the prep work before and the follow up
Yeah,
afterwards. That's the hard part. And the
it's
behind the
true.
scenes stuff. So we can somehow offload some of that. That would make it a lot of fun to do this forever.
Yeah. I think the meetings are the best part. We like talking to you guys. Yeah,
Hmm.
cool. Yeah, I think, for everyone listening, take some time. Just think about like, okay, what do I like to do? How can I do that now? Like when I am retired, what's that going to look like? Is it going to be exciting? Can I do more of this? All of that kind of stuff. If you want to try something new in retirement or there's something that you've been thinking, ooh, later when I have more time, maybe it'd be fun to do this. Maybe try it now. Like, oh, maybe I want to learn how to cook. Just take like one of those one night date night classes or whatever. Like just do it one time and see if you actually even like it. Maybe you hate it. Maybe it's the worst. And then you'll be like, okay, checking that off my list. I don't want to do that anymore. But there's so many things, and I think it's rewarding to spend a little time daydreaming about this kind of stuff. Maybe we don't want to overdo it and spend all of our time thinking about it because then we might be a little sad. But it's fun, and I think it's worth it to kind of keep your eye on the prize.
For sure. Yeah, I think if it's a rather inexpensive hobby, like by all means, if you don't like it, great. No skin off your back or whatever the saying is. But
Uh-huh.
like if you think you want to get into fly fishing, before you go out and buy $1,000 rod and $900 waders and a float tube and like all the stuff, maybe just go out with a guide who has it all and see if you actually enjoy standing in cold water and holding a fish and all the stuff that goes along with it. There might be a lot of hours where you don't have any action at all. So if you like
Hmm.
just being out in nature in the quiet, great. If it drives you nuts, then maybe not. Great. Um,
Hmm.
it's like the pickleball example. It's not too expensive to buy a paddle and some shoes and just go out there at a park.
Yep.
Um, if you want to get into golf, that's a little more expensive to like buy clubs. You can get some
Yep.
used ones, play it against sports, etc. So
Sometimes even at the courses,
yeah,
you can get used clubs in the pro shop.
Just go into the where the cart guys are and say the lost and found bin and be like, hey, can I piece together some irons and woods
Will they
here?
let you do that?
I think if, well,
For
depends.
borrowing, not for keeping.
I don't know. You might be able to negotiate with someone like, hey, any clubs that have been here for like over a month that I can just take off your hands. Here, I'll give you $20, teenager.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, have fun. I think that's the bottom line. Like we're all saving money, we're being responsible, we're doing all the things, saving for our kids, but also take a second to enjoy life.
Exactly. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.